Hello, Matthew Bell with InsurancePrescription.com, and today I wanted to give you 10 different places that you can go to complain if you believe that you've been taken advantage of or if you have been defrauded or scammed by an insurance agent. I'm also going to give you 5 tips on how to successfully report a complaint. Caveat, disclaimer, I cannot give you any legal advice. This is not financial advice or insurance advice. This is simply for general informational or entertainment purposes only. If you do have a complaint, think of these as research leads that you can use to help to try to resolve the complaint on your own. Now, one of the ways of thinking about these 10, first of all, and I'll start with the 10 different places or 10 different trajectories that you can kind of seek out help. Think of these as throwing it up against the wall to see what sticks. In some cases, you might find an immediate resolution to your difficulties by simply complaining directly to one or other of the things that I'll name. In other cases, you might have to cast your net fairly broadly in order to get a solution to your problem. The first thing that I would encourage you to do, number one, and it seems somewhat obvious, but it is to reach out to the agent that you dealt with in the first place. You always want to do this to cover your bases. First of all, in some cases, there may have simply been an error of judgment or some kind of a miscommunication. Depending on the nature of your complaint, it may be well advised to at least reach out to the initial agent in the first place. Agents are required to carry errors-and-omission insurance, which is to say insurance similar to medical malpractice insurance with doctors or other kinds of professional insurance. Errors-and-omission insurance or E&O insurance is designed to help in cases where there was a misstatement of fact or there was a miscommunication, and agents are not perfect, so that should be your first plan of attack. In other places, I've gone over the difference between insurance agents and insurance brokers, and in general, an agent works for a company, whereas the broker works for an individual client. Where it kind of comes into play in this conversation would be that an agent, in virtue of working with one or more companies, is likely going to have a certain structure above him or her. So for instance, may have a manager, a general agent, a managing field agent, some sort of structure, some sort of a hierarchy would exist above that particular agent. And so the second place that you can go would be to that agent's supervisor, to that agent's superior, to that agent's general agent, something like that. Now, agents may be contracted so that they don't technically have an employer structure, but still their paycheck is likely dependent on some other people, and there's probably some sort of oversight, and you can take advantage of that in virtue of reaching out to the agent's superior or manager or general agent. That was point number 2. Now, point number 3, somewhat related, is when you do have an agent working for a general agent working for a particular company, and agents can either be captive or exclusive agents, meaning that they only work for one company, or they can be independent agents, meaning that they can work for a variety of different companies and sell a variety of different companies' policies. You can also reach out to the companies directly. Now, this is probably going to be more effective in the case of a captive agent than it would be in the case of an independent agent, but many companies are going to take very seriously the reputation of the independent agents that they work with, and so I would go ahead and do it again just as part of the throwing it up against the wall to see what sticks. I would go ahead and reach out, if it comes to that, in all areas that you can possibly deal with. So if you were shown an illustration from a particular company, then I would reach out to that particular company, and you can do that in a variety of ways. The first place, you might be able to find a phone number for a customer service department. You might be able to reach out online. Nowadays, very easy possibly to pull up the company's website and see if they have a portal or a contact that you might be able to reach out to through that avenue. And if nothing else, the company may direct you to somebody who can help you. Now, the fourth trajectory that I will mention is going to be the insurance commissioner, or the commissioner for insurance for the various states. And this is a state-level job where the commissioner of insurance is going to oversee all insurance business that is performed or conducted in that state. Every state has a certain licensing procedure, and in essence, every company doing business and every agent doing business has to be licensed in that particular state. So the insurance commissioner is kind of the state-level stopping point for a lot of complaints, and you will most likely get a fairly thorough response from the insurance commissioner. Now, fifth, at the same time, state licensing boards, and kind of take this and apply it to other fields as well, other disciplines, other professions, but state licensing boards are going to be a place that you could reach out to. In the case of insurance, there is actually a National Insurance Producers Registry, that is NIPR, and that organization, even though it really doesn't field consumer complaints, you still could reach out to them, again, as part of just this kind of shotgun approach to complaining, which is one way that I kind of have been able to resolve certain complaints in the past when other people seem to run up against a wall. I kind of just cast my net broadly, as I have said a couple of times, because you never know, number one, who could respond to you. You never know what kind of response you might get. In many cases, there is a backlog of complaints in one place, and you never know, there could be somebody else in an entirely different department that has an entree or inroads or connection or a network of people that they might be able to reach out to on your behalf, and they may be willing to do it. Now, another similar suggestion might be to contact the errors-and-omission insurance company that the agent has insurance with. You're probably going to have to rely on the agent in order to get that answer, but that's another approach you could take. Number 6 is going to be the Better Business Bureau. Now, the Better Business Bureau is an interesting organization. It is actually a nonprofit organization, so it's not part of the government. It was founded in 1912. It does field consumer complaints. It does also maintain certain website listings and rankings, and different ratings and things are available if a person searches on a particular company online. However, I did have a Better Business Bureau associate one time put it to me like this: we don't have guns and badges, meaning that they cannot, strictly speaking, enforce any laws. They're not going to be the ones to represent you legally and so on. And as a matter of fact, virtually none of these organizations is going to offer you legal representation. But what they may be able to do is levy some sort of professional fine or fee, or at least follow through to try to ensure that your complaint gets a satisfactory resolution. Now, in a similar way, besides the Better Business Bureau, you can also go to things like Citysearch and Yelp and even Google and just write a review. And sometimes that in and of itself can generate enough attention to the complaint that you can get a result. I would caution you here that the point, in my view, of writing a review on one of these places and publishing it wouldn't be just to drag somebody's name through the mud or to get revenge. What you're trying to do is, if you haven't been able to get an audience with somebody who's willing to help you, sometimes the squeaky wheel gets the oil. You can kind of raise your voice level a little bit in virtue of publishing one of these reviews that might draw the attention that you need just to get a fair hearing for your complaint. There are also websites that specialize in this kind of thing, like the RipoffReport, PlanetFeedback. There are others, as I'm sure a Google search would show you. Now, number 7 is going to be the Attorney General's office in whatever state you are living. Now, there's 2 ways of approaching it. One way would be you could reach out to the Attorney General in your state, as I just said, or you could reach out to the Attorney General in the state that is the headquarters state for whatever company you're mainly dealing with, if there is only one company involved. Now, once again, the Attorney General's office does not offer legal representation to you, but they are able to bring a certain level of pressure to bear and at least raise the profile of the complaint to give you a higher likelihood of getting a fair hearing. Similarly, and I'm going to include this one as well under point number 7, the Secretary of State's office for your state or for the state where the business is actually formed is going to be another resource that you can reach out to. And here, the way that I would approach this is almost every single state, as far as I can tell, has a website where you can go on and search. You can do a business search in that state. And so what you're looking for here is not necessarily, you're not going to complain directly to the Secretary of State's office. I suppose you could, but the thing that I have in mind is, in some cases, the companies are going to have a contact. In many cases, that is a person who is very important in the company, but oftentimes that contact is not going to be someone whose name is going to be on the company's website. And so by reaching out to that person, you might be involving a very important individual who is able to help you that you wouldn't have been able to find or discover the existence of apart from the search on the Secretary of State's website. Now, number 8, sort of ratcheting it up just a notch again, would be a congressperson. So in your state, you're going to have a state representative and a state senator, and that person is going to cover over your district, possibly cover the district of the headquarters of whatever agent you've been dealing with. And in many cases, once again, these Congress people actually, even if they're not able to help directly with the complaint, they can often intercede and perhaps give you recommendations for other people you might be able to complain to. Now, number 9, at the federal level, one of the main organizations that comes to mind in this regard is going to be the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC. They maintain something called the Bureau of Consumer Protection. There's a website portal where you can actually go on and put a complaint in. They were formed in 1914, and now with the advent of internet technology, of course, you can just go on to the FTC's website and file a complaint online. Now, they deal mainly with frauds and scams and the like of that, But if you feel like not only are you not getting satisfaction by talking to the agent or the general agent, and if you feel like the entire company has some sort of systemic problem or difficulty or criminality, then the FTC would be the place that you would go next. Finally, number 10, there's going to be two organizations that I should mention that aren't going to apply to every case, but may apply to some cases. So mainly with insurance, we're dealing with a separate stream of licensing. The state licensing board, the insurance commissioner, they are specialized in life insurance products, for example, versus the Securities and Exchange Commission and what is called FINRA, or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority. Now, the Securities and Exchange Commission was formed in 1934. It's a federal level organization that basically deals with enforcing securities laws. FINRA, on the other hand, was formed in 2007. Its predecessor organizations were actually the regulatory arm of the New York Stock Exchange as well as the National Association of Security Dealers, or the NASD. So the NASD and the NYSE, the New York Stock Exchange, basically got together and formed FINRA. FINRA is not a government organization. It is a private corporation. But if you have a complaint about an insurance product that is involved with securities or equities, so for example, variable life insurance, or some kind of a variable annuity, some kind of a vehicle, some kind of a product, a life insurance product that's actually implicated in the stock market, for instance, or in mutual funds, index funds, and the like of that, then besides the insurance trajectory, you can also seek to complain to those people who are involved in regulating securities and equities. And again, that would be from the government point of view, the SEC, or from the private regulatory standpoint, it would be FINRA. Once again, the approach that I'm advising essentially here, or the approach that I'm describing here, is going to be the approach of just basically shotgunning the complaint. You're going to kind of throw it out in a number of different areas. Now, this is going to take a bit of time to do. I would do some of the easy steps first, like trying to talk to the agent, trying to talk to the general agent, possibly reaching out to the company if there is one. And then if you cannot get satisfaction in those areas, then I would recommend broadening your horizon. As a final thing, I'm going to give you 5 tips on how to successfully and concisely express your complaint. Now, tip number 1 is going to be keep records. You're going to want to keep thorough records of any exchange that you have with the insurance agent, whether that is paperwork, contracts, emails, voicemails, if you can manage to retain those. Keep everything. You want to have a paper trail, essentially, or an electronic paper trail, as it were, in order to document any complaints or any claims that you make. Now, the second thing is going to be stick to the facts. Try not to get emotional. You want to stick to what you can actually document, not inferences. You want to stick with the actual facts that you have supporting evidence for. Relatedly, 3, don't get sucked into arguing about principles. You don't want to advance a complaint just for the heck of it. The idea here would be if you have actual demonstrable financial loss, you've experienced actual damage, whether it is to a retirement portfolio or to insurance, or if they're not paying the claims or something has gone wrong, then definitely pursue those kinds of complaints, but try to avoid just ideological differences. There are all kinds of reasons for that, but the first and main one is just going to be it's probably going to be a waste of time. Number 4, practically speaking, know what you are aiming at. Don't just go in without any concept of what would it take to actually resolve your complaint to your satisfaction. Don't expect the company to recommend different solutions. Come with a solution in mind, and if you have to negotiate from that point, then that would be a possibility for you, but at least know in advance, do you want a refund? Are you asking for a refund plus interest? Are you asking for replacement of your policy and retaining some coverage with that company? Are you asking for a contract to be rectified, the language changed or amended? What are you asking for? And finally, number 5, this one is, if you feel like you are in over your head, then please seek out some sort of professional advice, whether that is an attorney or somebody who is able to actually give you advice and help you through the process. Some of these other places, for example, the Attorney General's office or the Federal Trade Commission, they may be able to assist you in terms of trying to find someone who can help you. But for the most part, these various agencies are going to be very clear on their website and other literature. They're going to say, we cannot represent you. So if you need legal representation, you're going to have to seek that out on your own. But you want to do that if you have the ability or if you have the need to do it. You want to do it early because the more interactions you have with the company, the more you say, you can believe they're going to keep a paper trail on you as well. And so you don't want to undermine your position in virtue of speaking out of turn or speaking without the relevant knowledge. So if you think you need assistance, seek it out. If you found something of use in this video, I ask you to please like the video, please subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell to be alerted to new content as it becomes available. I have planned a little follow-up video essentially on the kinds of things that insurance agents may misrepresent or that people may have trouble with in the industry. That's planned content, so if you have any interest in that, I invite you to look forward or check back. And I thank you for being with me today, and I look forward to seeing you again in another video. Thank you.